And a very good warm welcome to everybody this Wednesday evening here for the WeBuyCars PUBG podcast, sponsored by WeBuyCars. And then to my left hand side, Viking. What's up, dude? How's it going?
No, good, thanks. Glad to be here once again.
Yeah, I mean, the Vikings done some good job handling some of the podcasts this season. We'll probably go into a little bit like that, see how he's been handling all of that stuff as well. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, let's quickly go have a little bit of a sponsor ad come out quickly, and we'll be back now. We'll get into the meat of things. 10 games to go here on the Season 3 finals of the PUBG Africa, sponsored by WeBuyCars and PUBG. It's a lot to unpack inside this podcast, that is for sure. As we come back to the screen, Season 3, it's been looking good so far, 10 games in it. And I'm sure you feeling, Viking, particularly quite good about yourselves.
Yeah, no, I have to say it is a good feeling. To a point though. Obviously, I think at this point of season 2 we were also quite ahead. And then unfortunately at the end we couldn't pull it through, so there's still some stress involved, but I mean still happy that we are sitting in the first place at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, you guys seem, let's just quickly go over to the leaderboard screen here because, that's kind of what we all want to have a look at. And, let's try and unpack what will the next 10 games unfold. What will that unpack for us here? Inexorable Gaming, 144 points in 10 games. That's a lot of points, dude. Like, do you want to leave some other points there for other people, or what's happening?
I mean that depends, If four kings can do the same, then we might as well, just give some opportunities to some of the other teams. But while four kings are going strong, we need to put in the work and follow up. But yeah, I mean
100%.
definitely. I mean if we had a goal for the season, and our goal was to try and make 200 points, right? So in season 2, I think we ended on 190 points after 20 games. So our goal as a team was just to try and make 200 points.
10 points a game. That's a fairly high average if you're going to look at it that way.
Yeah, but
Over
I mean,
20 games. Currently sitting at 14.4. So, you're on track to do it.
yeah. So obviously we're like 44 points over our target at the moment,
Mm.
which is nice, So it leaves a gap for us, like a breather for the next few games.
A breather. But you guys' second day wasn't the best of starts. 2 13th places coming out, but then you guys obviously came back with a win, a second place, and another win. So you still won 2 matches. You've won 2 on Erangel, 2 on Miramar. I think that is the most anybody's won on each map as well. You guys, you get knocked down, but you come straight back up within the same day. And that I was mentioning even in the cast that monkey on your back for day 1 seems to have dissipated. You seem to have shot it and walked away from it easily.
Yeah, I think we definitely went into a strong mindset on the first day.
Mm.
I think our main strategy on day 1 was knowing that most of the teams would probably start out playing safe. We were just going for it and taking chances, and just making sure that we get off to a good start, which eventually seemed to pay off.
Yeah, it did. Four Kings. Oh, your camera went a little bit funky there. That's a fun.
Let's
There we go. We got you back. We got you back. That was a bit of an odd one there. Anyway, is it really Viking, guys? Is it really him? Four Kings, I mean, are sticking with you guys, sort of. They kind of fell away from you guys in day 2. You guys beat them, managed to beat them in that Miramar round where you had a great AWP shot there as well, which I see you've also posted on social medias and stuff like that. You know,
I
generally
probably
don't.
watched that clip like 400 times already.
I mean, you're not an SR person, as you stated as well. I mean, it is interesting to see you picking up that SR quite a bit more. But I mean, it seemed to be paying off. I mean, that shot, that was a pinnacle shot. So going through that in your mind there, like you get the knock. What was like? Was it like instant? You wanted to push that? Was it like a little bit of umming and ahhing, or what was going through at that moment in time?
Yeah, no, I think so obviously we lost Narco earlier in that fight, which was kind of a problem because we had the man advantage. And then I think Narco, after he got knocked by Revenge, which was also quite a good bolty knock, Narco got revived by Hot. But then Narco jumped on top of the rock and tried to get like an over peak and then just got knocked again. And like it was quite a stressful moment there. And then even Hot got knocked, but luckily they didn't like aggress on that. I think if they did aggress on the knock on Hot, they probably had a really good chance of finishing it out right there. But yeah, I think like my call was we need to focus and try our best to get the knock. And as soon as we get the knock, doesn't matter who it is, we just need to send it and like as a group and push. And then luckily for me, I got the knock onto Kandam, which was I mean at the moment he is their top damage dealer in the as like between the 4 of them. So
Yes, yeah, he is. Yeah.
it turned out really well.
I mean, it worked out. It definitely worked out. Also, if in chat you have any questions, anything you want to mention, just obviously write down at PUBG Africa, and we'll try and answer your questions there as well. Yeah, I mean, Four Kings. Yeah, I mean that was a good aggressive push there from you guys. I agree. If Four Kings probably pressured you guys earlier on when there was only the 2 of you up, could have ended in a very different way. But I think they were trying to keep that circle control that they had initially, and I didn't expect you guys to do what you did. But I mean, it was all kudos to you guys. I mean, in the end, I mean, Revenge did manage to deny 1 point to you guys. So I mean, that is kind of that's I guess good gameplay from them just to keep those points as much as possible. I mean, 1 point is 1 point. You never know. Like Four Kings could win by 1 point, and that could have been a very definite distinction going forward from there. Looking down the leaderboard, Ninjas and Bikinis. I've seen that they're on Twitter and stuff like that. They're having some roster issues, and they've maybe lost a member due to they were just disconnecting and they're getting frustrated and whatever the case is. So Ninjas and Bikinis going into this last 10 games are going to be a little bit of a disadvantage in my opinion, because now they have to, I mean, they still got their sub that can still sit in for them as well, which is a decent sub in any case. But I mean, I think that whole mental game is kind of breaking down for them at this moment.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird spot that they are currently in, you know. Yes, like most of their game, well, not most, I think half of their games at the moment they've played as a 3-man. But they have been 4-man quite a few games as well. I don't know, it seems like yes, they are currently sitting in third, which is still quite a good spot on the leaderboard for them to be sitting in, but it kind of feels like since they can't really fight for the top spot anymore, I don't know if the motivation is still there for them. I mean, they
Yeah,
are the previous season's
champion.
champions, but like after the first few weeks, losing track of, I want to say, I mean, they're still like I wouldn't count them out. I would have said like if they were their full roster, there's still a good chance of them of even coming to pass us. just by like what we know they are capable of.
It's
Um, but
70
it seems
points
like,
deficit.
I mean, they made
70.
that up. I mean, we were like what 20 points ahead of them in season 2 on the like final 5 games, and they beat us by like 30 points in that. So they made
Mm,
up 50 more points than us in that final 5 games. I mean, if they can do that in 5 games, then anything is possible over 10 games, But it seems like they
100%.
might have lost some motivation over the first week.
Yeah, I mean, it has been a trying time inside the finals. I think we expected it to be a little bit more tighter, to be honest. I thought it would be a little bit more tight in the beginning. I think you, Inexorable, and Four Kings have kind of like, put that to bed. Like, you guys are the front two runners, and that's it. I mean, from third onwards, it is a pretty tight game, other than that. But we want to be trying to see how teams fight for the actual overall championship status, But I mean, another team that's kind of like surprised me that's not doing so well, Nos Gaming. I mean, Nos had the really good group stages and they looked really on form, but it just doesn't seem like it's the same Nos from the group stage. I don't know what it is at the moment. It seems a bit off for them. I don't know. Maybe they came in too confident. I can't really put my finger on it. It just doesn't feel like the Nos we saw in the group stages.
I mean, that's quite interesting. I was speaking to TF2 after the first day, right? And not only, I can't remember how many points they made, but they didn't do too great, but they were still in the top 8, if I remember correctly, after day 1. And then TF2 was saying, but like O'Connell was apparently he was IGLing for them, and he wasn't playing too great on that day. So TF2 benched him for day 2. But when I look back at it, like I don't think they did that bad. Maybe they did bad in terms of like you said, their expectations of
Yeah.
from the group stages, but I still think they made like 36 points in day 1, which I'm actually gonna
I'm
gonna
actually
check here
busy having
quickly.
a look now as well, just to see
Right?
exactly. After 5 games, they made 25 points.
25 points.
Yeah.
Okay. But I mean they were still 5 points away from third. Right? It was a very close
That was
like
very close then, yeah.
midfield.
Yeah.
And I don't think like you can take a lot away from one day. But yeah, so definitely like after one bad day in their eyes, TF2 was already like making roster changes again or like swapping his players out, and I think we might be going again into the same like system that they had in season 2, where they just couldn't get a solid 4-man playing every time.
I mean, they need to be careful. I mean, Nuz, I definitely thought they were gonna like at least be contending for the top 3 by now. I mean, anything could happen. Maybe it clicks for them again for the last 10 games. You never know. Could pop off, and then like the 2 bad games you guys had at this moment has only been 2 bad games that you guys essentially have had at this stage. But I mean, if that turns into 4 bad games, then things could start heating up with the other teams, getting a little bit closer. It's anything can happen in 10 games. We've only halfway through. This is the scary part. This is what you've done in the half. This is the storyline in 10 games. The next 10 games, you could be crying at the end of this.
Yeah, I mean,
you could be
obviously,
ending up in 6th position. I mean, you never know.
that's the problem. That's also the problem with sitting in first place right now is like obviously all the eyes are on us. So when teams see us in a kill feed or anything, obviously the focus shifts towards us. So I think definitely we're gonna have a lot more difficult 10 games now than we had in week 1, because the focus is going to be on top of us and people are going to try and eliminate us early.
Yeah.
But I mean, everyone's going to have that bad games. Like everyone can't have good games all the time, and that's why like I don't understand how some teams are too negative about their week 1 performance, even though they are still in the top 5.
Yeah, no, for
Teams
sure.
like they can still like. There's so many teams that still have potential to make big comebacks.
I mean, let's have a look. I'll take two teams that surprised me in the last games was Fairy Crew and Fractus Gaming. Fairy Crew, I mean, currently sitting in our top 8 in 6th position with 52 points. I mean, after day one, they were 19 points. I mean, that's a good shot from the Fury crew. I mean, having a look at what they've done over the last 5 games, I mean, great performance from them as well. You know, they stepping up to the finals. This is what they want to do. They want to get some money in there. Top 8 pays out, you know, that's what you want. You want to be in that top 8 as quickly as possible. And then for Fractus Gaming, horrible first day, but come back into second day. We saw what we seen, the same Fractus Gaming what we saw in their last day of the group stages as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? So, I mean, I'm going to say all the teams up to, like, I'm going to take just like a marker, right? Like, let's say all the teams up to Fractus Gaming, all the teams currently sitting in 40 points, right? If they have one good game, like, let's say the first game of this week, they win, right, with 10 kills, that already shoots them up into a potential top 6 placement.
Yeah.
All the way from 11th. So there's still so much potential. None of the teams can be counted out at the moment. Like, we're only halfway in.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Fractus is doing a great job. Real OGs bringing themselves back. Crushers, 8th position, 47 points. Something you did not expect, but day 2 was horrible. Let's just put it out there for them. It was a bad day for Crushers Esports. I think they lost in 3 games. I think 3 consecutive games. They lost 2 members straight out in phase 1. I mean, that's like, that hits your confidence. That hits everything. And Abdallah, who's their main, like, you know, carry, if you want to call it that, definitely. I mean, he's sitting on 1,800 damage and 12 kills at the 12 kills at the moment. I mean, he getting taken out, and it just seems to fall apart for Crushers on day 2. It's heartbreaking to see, but I'm hoping that they can shift their focus, come back into it for the next 2 days, and, you know, show us what Crushers, what this team can actually do, because damn, that was rough in that last day.
I mean, they're still following the same strategy that they used in the group stages, you know, and that's why after the group stages I was talking about, especially how Crashers, they basically force the phase 1 fights, right? And they get like an early 4, 5, 6 kills, and then basically just try and survive until the late game after that. But they're not scared of taking the early fights. The only problem now is you won't, like, all the teams in the finals have proved themselves to be in this finals. So you don't have that chance of running into a weaker team anymore, right? So now they're running into the good teams in phase 1, and unfortunately that's costing him. But now, like you said, Abdallah, you know, being their main fragger, I also feel like they're not working together at all.
Yeah,
it's
I
like
agree.
They have so much confidence after the group stages where they just destroyed everyone that I think Abdallah especially just runs in thinking he's gonna 1v4 each team.
It
And
could
like
be.
maybe he gets like 2 knocks, but then he gets traded and his team isn't nearby. That's just what I've been like seeing from my perspective, watching some of the games back. I feel like if Abdallah can just play with his team, then those 2 knocks that he can get will be critical, because then he can expect his team to kill the other 2.
I mean, he's got decent members in his team. I mean, that whole team is a powerhouse, in my
But at the
opinion.
moment, they're just like fighting by themselves. It's basically a 4-man of solos just doing their own thing.
Yeah, very wide splits in one of
obviously
even coming back. You drive a good point there. I mean, the one game I even think I mentioned in the cast, a very wide split from the Crushers at one stage where they were taking on Noz, and then Adala gets knocked, and then one comes in, gets knocked, another one comes in. They managed to pick up Adala and whoever else, but then eventually, you know, one by one they're coming in, and Noz managed to clean them up as well. So I mean, it was I distinctly remember it was quite a wide split that they were employing, and it just didn't work out for them at all, you know. I think the last team I want to go over, or the last 2 teams I actually want to go over quickly, is White Rabbit Gaming and NR team. White Rabbits, we know they've been having a difficult season 3. I mean, throughout the group stages, they've been up and down, and we expected them to make the top 16. I think they made it in there quite comfortably by their standards, but I'm going to be a bit harsh here because of my ex team as well. But I mean, a lot of blind rotates coming out from White Rabbit Gaming, which we were managed to catch on stream as well, which never worked for them. I mean, you can't be doing this in this level of PUBG, in my opinion. I don't know if you feel the same, but I mean, yes, you might be under pressure, but this is phase 3. You're blind rotating into a team, you're not scouting it properly. You're going to be put under pressure from there and run into a different other team. And, you know, they ran into Crushers in day 1, and Crushers managed to fend them off as well. So, I mean, just been a bit of a difficult series for White Rabbit Gaming, I do believe. And then, you know, they're rotating between Shepherd and Ripper. I don't know if Ripper had maybe load shedding on the Sunday as well. It could have been. But I mean, it just doesn't seem like the team is there, if you get what I'm trying to say.
I mean, so I do recall, so I was watching the VODs back, and I agree with you. I think on day 1 was like, especially, we saw them just like getting in their vehicles and just rotating when they were under pressure, and basically just hoping that
No one's
there
there.
was
Yeah.
no one at the end of the day. I think they kind of fixed that for day 2. The only problem was, like, I don't think the problems was with rotating in day 2. It was the decisions of which fights to take and which fights to leave, and kind of just not getting their timings correct. Like, I saw so many unfortunate timings where they decide to go like fight a team. There's nothing going on around them, and as soon as they go and like try to third party, then basically everyone just turns around on them standing in the open. You know,
Must say they are one of the most unlucky teams as well in terms of that point. I think the one I distinctly can remember the one game where they were trying to force their way onto you guys on the Miramar map. That wasn't their fault. High voltage was always on that hilltop. You know, so I mean, that was a silly mistake to try and push onto that, because high voltage never moved off that hilltop. They were getting shot beforehand.
they had the information because Soda knocked one of them up there.
Yeah, and you know they had it, but they still kept, you know, They still kept on going onto you guys. You know, I think they were trying to like stop you guys from getting too much points as well. You know, try to do the lobby a bit of a favor, but you know, in the end, they get wiped out. I think even before you guys. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, just before you. Yeah. So I mean, you know, that's the sort of stuff where there's needs to be more looking around. I feel it's just have a gander at what's happening around you. You know, if you do start getting shot, then make that extra plan. You know, get your vehicles. You know, don't run out into open without anything. You know, like basic stuff that I feel that's not just happening within that team, which is really unfortunate.
I mean, so I think from game 2, obviously we saw them fragging out quite a bit on that military game. Obviously, like, they're still a really good team.
Yeah,
and if
100%.
they are in the correct position, they still are very capable of fragging out and dealing serious damage. I think for them it's just a matter of fact of getting into the right position at the right time. And that's where I think they are currently feeling a bit unsure.
Yeah, I get you there, but then also they should be. I think every team in this lobby as well, if you're not in the right position, how do you get out of this position? That's the, you know, there's no backup plan for me with specifically White Rabbit Gaming and a couple of other teams as well. For like, I even mentioned it on stream for, let's say, taking Inexorable Gaming, for instance, and even Four Kings has done this multiple times as well. You guys get into a tough position, but you guys get yourself out of that position. You might not kill the other team that's put you in that position, but you got yourself out, and then later on in the game you manage to regroup and then start again. You know, that's where I feel a lot of the, I would say, teams from, I would say from 7th downwards, not really having that sort of game plan at the moment. They don't have they got, this is our game plan. If something goes wrong, we screwed. We're done. You know, not like,
obviously,
if something happens here, what is, you know, someone's going to be on their feet thinking, okay, cool, we need to actually do this. Not take maybe no, 90% of the fights you don't have to take. Like, let's be honest. If you're in a tough position, you can retreat from that fight 90% of the time and not try and force the fight on, because sometimes you just have to, but not all the time. But I feel that a lot of teams need to develop that skill where if you're in that tough position, you got to be thinking on your feet to, okay, cool, this is what we're going to do. I think for yourselves and for Kings, and in parts, even Ninjas and Bikinis have done it, even in season 2 as well, are probably the masters out of our scene to be doing that at this moment.
Yeah, I haven't really paid attention to Four Kings's rotations like mid game too much. For us specifically, I think honestly, the winner chicken dinner format that we played just before we reverted back to the super settings has definitely um helped us in that format. Even though we are playing the super settings again, we are still trying to play with the chicken dinner format, meaning that we are trying our best to keep 4 men alive and then taking that into the late game. Because if we're, I want to say 90% of the time, if we're a 4 man alive in the late game in top 5 teams, I think there's like a 95% chance that we're going to win it.
And there's 100% chance if you have one member get knocked in phase 1 and you 3 men.
But that's where
it always seems to happen. I don't know why, but when Disaster gets knocked out of the main or whatever, phase 1, you guys win it out. Like, I do not understand it. Like, I've seen it so many times happen.
Yeah, maybe we just play a little bit more safe than when we lose a member. But like, that's essentially what we're trying to do, is just keep our members alive as long as possible and try to avoid fights as long as possible until we really need to take them. Yes, like sometimes early game we will take a fight because it's like we have the advantages like upper hand.
Yeah.
And we can kind of like knock them and push on that. But most of the time, if we're stuck in a position, our main goal is how can we get away and around this team. And for now, it's been going well. You know, a lot of times there's the opportunity of running into a different team when you're retreating, you know. But I think the information that the team is giving and, you know, knowing where some teams like to play definitely opened up some rotations for us to use while avoiding fights.
Yeah, 100%. I think King One made a good point here. I think a lot of teams don't take a look at replays and study it. I 100% agree. I think we're talking 90% of the teams and sitting here are not doing that. And I stand to be corrected. If you are, just, you know, shout at me in chat. But I mean, you know, like, I know yourself, we chat a lot in the back, but you are studying the replays. You're going through this, and this is kind of hard work pays off, guys. You know, they got 144 points. They got a nice, comfortable lead at this moment, and hard work pays off. Knowing what your opponents are doing by just watching replays of the games that have been done is like 70% of your job done. You know exactly how to counter certain things. You know how to do everything. It's what I did when I was IGL, you know, for White Rabbit Gaming in the past, you know, and we started climbing up the ranks. We just didn't have a stable team back then either. But I mean, you know, we start getting the results, and we started making it to the top 3 consistently, and then, you know, that's kind of bred the whole thing coming into White Rabbit Gaming now. So I think King One's very right there. 5 teams are going Hacienda this week.
Yeah, I mean, we already had No Sleep dropping Hacienda in the last game.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, to be honest, if you guys want to mess up your games, you know, go and enjoy the hot drop. We'll just take the vehicles and go loot somewhere else, you know?
You see, avoiding the fight, having that game plan, you know, that's it, you know, thinking on your feet. That's exactly what we've been saying. And the other team I want to come up before we switch over to, we'll just the stats for a little bit. In our team, I mean, a team I expected to be way up there. Really struggling. I mean, they are doing some great moments in the game. They still got the utility kicking off. They're still killing, but they're just not able to convert everything out of it. It's been really sad. I'm sad.
Yeah, I think that the most iconic game from NR team that I think they threw away. That's just like the one time, especially because I'm focusing on like watching what Four Kings is doing. Was when I think it was the very first game in Novo, right? Where NR team got 3 knocks onto 4 kings, and
Yeah, day
I
one,
think it
yeah.
was Ben Lagen
Bin
got the knock
Laden,
on
yeah.
one. And then the other 2 players that were, so I think it was like a 1v3. So as it became, so it was a 2v3. As it became a 1v3, Ben Lagen traded one, so it was a 1v2. But then instead of like just flushing out the like the knocked members of 4 kings, or reviving your own members, or like just playing together, both players from NR team just sent it onto Ben Lagen, didn't even use any utility. They literally just ran around the corners and tried to full send it on him.
One by
And then
one.
essentially they lost the fight without getting any points because they didn't even flush any of the
Mm,
knocks they got.
mm.
Um, and to me, that was just not the NR team that I'm used to seeing.
Yeah, it isn't. It's been. I mean, they're still popping off with the utility kills. I've watched a couple of that going through the whole 2 days as well. But I mean, 27 points. I mean, not looking great for them at this moment. I mean, let's see what they can do coming back into it. Let's have a quick gander at the stats. Have a quick look and see who's who in the zoo. Hot Diggity coming out with 31 kills, the most amount of kills out of everyone. I mean, 8 kills ahead of Kandam, and yourself, funny enough. Hot's been doing well in that last couple games. I mean, Hot definitely popped off there. I mean,
Yeah, I think in both the last 2 games, Hort ended on 7 kills.
yeah,
You know, which
yeah.
is like half of his kills
Half his kills
during the
coming
event
out.
in 2 games. But yeah, no, definitely. I mean, he did dealt some serious damage in the last 2 games. They really deserved those kills.
Mhm.
You know, and it was good because I think on day 1, Hort was the lowest out of the 4 of us. You know, which is unexpected because
He
he is
generally
usually
frags
like
out.
our top fragger and our top damage dealer, and then seeing him at the bottom of day 1. I mean, obviously, he only needs to clutch if we give him the opportunity to clutch.
Mm.
So I mean, we pulled our weight in day 1, but yeah, Hort really did a great job in clutching out some situations on day 2.
No, 100%. I mean, I'm looking at it like the surprise. I'm not saying I call it surprise, but someone else coming in here was 50 FPS. I mean, 50 FPS is 23 kills as well. He's definitely helping his team as much as he can. Because I mean,
Yeah, I mean, obviously, so
we know
like I think
he's got this capability. I mean, we all know he's got this capability. But I mean, High Voltage hasn't really scored that much points in total. You know, they're not really up there. But I mean, for 50 FPS to be in 23 kills is an achievement alone, considering where his team is placed on that leaderboard.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think at the moment, High Voltage is sitting on like 51 kills.
Mm.
Which like 50 FPS basically like almost as 50% of that.
Almost, yeah.
And which is good. I think the only problem is like I've been talking to him quite a bit. Like we've been playing some ranked games every now and then, and he just feels like his team isn't always pushing with him. And so he just goes out and kills a few people, and then his team isn't around, so he doesn't like get the full like squad vibes. But also, like I told him, but like if your team isn't pushing with you, then rather just stick to your team. But I mean, at the moment it's working out for him. He's got 23 kills. And those kills are putting them in the top 5 at the moment.
100%. We're going to look at quickly damage. There's a reason why we're also going through these stats, guys. Remember, we do have $120 of special prizes that we've got here as well. So we haven't said what they are. You're going to know on Sunday. I am the person who's I'm the person who's getting all of that. Viking doesn't even know what the money, where the money's going towards either. So I'm the sole person who's going to distribute all of that out for you guys as well. But there's a reason why I'm going at the stats. Look at the stats, okay? Look at the stats. That's your hint, guys. That's your hint. Anyway, we're gonna go to top damage at the moment. Yourself. I mean, 1,004 or 1,300 odd more than 0 at this moment. That's a lot of damage over 10 games, let's be honest with ourselves. ADR of 580. I mean, jeez. You must be
I think
feeling good.
most of that was on day one. I think I ended day one on 3,800.
Jeez, okay.
Which in day two I only like achieved 2,000 damage in total.
Mm.
But yeah, I think like for myself, I definitely feel like it's a good margin to be at. Like if I have 500 damage a game, which I like average at the moment, then I'm happy with the performance. You know, even though I don't always like a lot of games, I get like I remember like I think it was 2 games where I have like 0 or 1 kills with 600 damage, and then Hort has like 7 kills with 600 damage. You know, but at the end of the day, the whole team contributed to the total points. So I mean, I'm not too fussed about getting the kills myself.
Yeah, for sure. Well, at least you're doing damage as well, you know. Zero. I mean, there's some ninjas and bikinis coming up here. Zero. That was me. GG coming up in the top 4 or 5 there as well, as long with Kandam and Bin Lagan. So I mean, you're definitely dealing the points here. Or dealing the damage rather, should I say? One thing I want to go on to here, we got the longest kill, Diggs, 492.6 meters. And if I'm not mistaken, this was a kill. We missed it on stream, but I went back because Diggs told me that he did it. And I think I even mentioned he might have shot him out the sky. Well, this kind of
stream,
yeah. So here it is. This is Diggs. We have the POV of Diggs here. And I think this is the shot that got him the longest kill.
I would be so mad.
I mean, this is a game that this is the directly after the game where we had Android against 2 Ghost members, and he almost clutched it out for them. And this, he comes into this game and has this happen to him in while he's flying down into the next map. That's gotta really hurt, man. That's really
I mean,
hurt.
going from like a high, almost clutching it out. Yeah, I think what Android had 8 kills in that final match,
Yeah.
or in that first match,
Yeah.
and then directly after that, not even being able to play the second game would be quite frustrating.
That is quite frustrating. I mean, that's hardcore, man. But yeah, that is the longest kill there from Diggs as well. Again, special prizes. We also have I'm just having a quick look over here as well. We got Top Fragger, Forrest Gump, Kov has ran a lot of kilometers there. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's quite interesting that like that you're picking that up. Like obviously, I've seen Team Ghosts running around quite a bit. You know, almost making me think back to what the Rusties are doing. You know, where they kind of avoid vehicles to a certain point.
Yeah.
I mean, they're definitely using it when they need to, but other than that, I see them running around quite a bit on foot. And I'm not too sure like how it's turning out for them. Obviously, they're not in the top 8, but I'm not necessarily saying that's where their fault is.
No, 100%. No.
You know.
I mean, yeah. I mean, they're long. Well, I mean, some teams do opt to do that route, and it sometimes works out for them. You know, the whole meta of shooting at cars and getting kills out of cars and whatever the case is. You know, some teams might not like that. I mean, Abdu loves it. We've seen some great stuff come out from him, that's for sure. Longest survivor yourself as well. 270 minutes. I mean, that's.
I think that just is go like together with us like being alive most of the time. You know, winning the most games.
Legit, the most survivors. It's NX and 4 Kings. So, I mean, if you're gonna look at it that way, I mean, 4 Kings got a little bit extra minutes there with that mid-off that we saw on day 1. I still can't believe that actually happened, to be honest. I still can't believe it.
Yeah, the fact that that wasn't EGG ran out and damaged the player enough so that he could do a first aid, and he had the perfect timing to just get the first aid done as soon as he like got to his last tick. It was just like You know, like it
So
might have been
lucky.
better for it wasn't me, GG, to leave them all alone. You know.
Yeah, exactly, and just like made it up and timed it correctly. But yo, that was a. Like I said, I've never casted a game with a mid off like that before. I mean, I've not seen that happen in a competitive game. I've seen it happen in a casual game, but I mean, not in a comp game. That was pretty wild, to be honest. That was pretty hectic. But I think that's about it for today. I don't know if we're gonna be. We might actually do a wrap up after the finals. Are we, Viking? Are we gonna do that?
I mean, I guess it depends on how much the teams show us. You know,
Yeah,
in the
for
final
sure.
week. If there's something nice to talk about, then we will talk about it.
100%. All right. Well, guys, this is the We Buy Cars PUBG podcast that's come in this evening. All sponsored by We Buy Cars. A big shout out to them for sponsoring out the season and the season 3 PUBG Africa finals as well. And until next time, guys, well, yeah, we'll see you guys on Friday for the final 2 days, or start of the final 2 days. 10 games left to go here in the PUBG Africa Season 3 finals. But until then, guys, stay safe out there. We'll catch you on Friday.
Wheels. I'm on it.